Welcome to Third Phase UFO Report. I'm Rich Giordano from GUFON, and here is today's report. Got some really good things. UFO sightings just hovering for many minutes. We're going to go to the moon because China did and they found something. And then we're going to go to Mars to look at a possible disc-shaped object that crashed on the planet. So buckle it up. Here we go.
Che cavolo è, ragazzi? Siamo a Villa Abate, a casa mia sulla terrazza. È posato sulla montagna, ragazzi. È gigantesco, che cos'è? L'hai ingrandito, no? Provo a ingrandire un pochettino con il mio telefono, l'immagine è spettacolare, ragazzi. Non mi vede nessuno e non mi interessa, basta che l'ho visto io, ho fatto anche la foto. Che cos'è sta cosa sopra la montagna? Ok, buonanotte, ragazzi. Qui siamo a Villa Abate, faccio vedere anche i palazzi, vedi? Le case. Inquadro di nuovo la situazione. È spuntata una cosa, non so che cos'è. Che cavolo è sta cosa? È spuntata una cosa sotto terra. Che cos'è?
Ma il video l'ho detto te.
È gigantesco, ragazzi. Buonanotte. È sopra la montagna. Guardate, mi giro qua. Qua c'è il mio terrazzo, c'è buio, non si vede niente. Ho delle case. Qua c'è una casa. Amico mio. Mi alzo in alto. Guardate cosa vedo là, sopra la montagna, ragazzi. Non ci crederete, ma è così. È gigantesco. Gigantesco, ragazzi. Ho ingrandito l'immagine. Di nuovo questa cosa è spuntata.
L'hai ingrandita?
Sì. A me mi affascinano queste cose. Non mi interessa chi prende la cosa spot, non mi interessa niente se spottano. Buonanotte.
So let's roll this again. I'm adding some brightness contrast, and you could hear it in the voice. It doesn't matter what language it's coming in from. You could hear that they're concerned about what they're looking at. And obviously, if you saw this hovering outside your bedroom window or your porch out at night, you would be concerned as well, whether you would think it's extraterrestrial or possibly some kind of surveillance. I'm not exactly sure what's going on here, but whatever it is, it seems to be a large object just hovering stationary in the night sky, dead silent. And again, you could hear it from the people on the ground. They have no idea what it is. And I'd appreciate it if anybody speaks Russian out there. Give us a little bit of a dialogue, some translation in the description or right now in the chat. We appreciate that. That's this whole.
Well, let's take a look at this, shall we? This is either the most incredible UFO sighting or it's not. And what do I mean by that? Well, this reminds me of something incredible. I think it was Turkey or India where there were aliens on a craft, a UFO, apparently out in the distance for 5 days. And the witnesses who zoomed in on this craft, and you probably remember this, you were able to see what looked like large-headed aliens, the Greys. And this went on for a few days, 5 days. That's what this reminds me of. It reminds me of that UFO. I wonder if it's back. Now, I'm trying to look for a video of it so I can show you here, but I haven't been able to find them just yet. But either that's a building in the distance and we just can't see it because it's very dark and the camera works a certain way at night, or this is a UFO that just doesn't move. And you can see something in the distance to give us a reference of how big this looks. So if it's about a mile, 2 miles away, it's probably 500-700 feet. It's pretty big. If it's further than that, it would be a lot bigger, of course, but it's hard to tell at night. And for some reason, he's moving it away, and I don't know why you would take the camera off of a UFO, but he's zooming in on these other people's balconies, I guess to see if it's a balcony of a building far in the distance. The lights on the left side look, and the right, the far left, far right, look like it might be, bigger rooms, like suites, and then the ones towards the center are just single bedroom. Maybe it's a hotel up on the mountain, and it just looks that way. I'm kind of thinking it's that, but I really don't know. Why would he videotape it? There's no reason to. If he sees it all the time and he lives there or visits there, he knows. Well, let's go to the next one. Some triangles. This is awesome.
Multiple shots coming in from an eyewitness who's a big fan of Third Phase Moon, who recently bought the Psionics, and he was surprised what he captured with his Psionics night vision camera in just a short amount of time. And we're looking at this, and I'm liking these series of videos. It's crazy. Sometimes people just don't look up anymore, but I'm glad C. Furrow has submitted these videos, and he captured these out of St. Cloud, Minnesota. And a lot of these things, he's absolutely fascinated by what he's capturing, and he's digging the work that we do at Third Phase Moon, and he wanted to submit some of these captures that he's recently caught. Brent, what do you make of what he's capturing? It's pretty cool stuff. This one definitely resembles a TR-3B. I'm not seeing any FAA lights on it. It's triangular in shape.
What I like about it is that he's keeping an eye on the sky like everybody should, and he's capturing anomalous objects. It's hard to tell what we're looking at, but they do seem to be traveling in formation. I like that he spends the night out there and really takes a time to capture these anomalies. Could they be birds? I'm not ruling that out, but we can't rule out that these are something else. Maybe drones, maybe something otherworldly, maybe some military exercise. All in all, these are great captures, though.
Yeah, look at this one. These are moving at a really high rate of speed. You can see it from one end to the other. He's hitting it with the laser at points, and then we have the triangular craft. I like this one again, really fast rate of speed here, and the formation remains very consistent. Again, just looking up in the sky, you capture things that you would have never known that's there. And again, this one's pretty strange if you ask me, because it almost seems like it's almost a gas form, plasmic in its own way. It seems biological. It doesn't seem conventional, any kind of drone or airplane. That one's a weird one. I can't put my finger on it as it traverses behind the trees. So again, a good array of videos captured by the public at night. The Psionics camera actually pulls it off. We're familiar with it in Hawaii, and we're using it, and it could give you a different perspective in the night sky using the Psionics. And we're not getting paid by Psionics. We're just saying it's a good product. And look at what these guys are capturing on pretty much a weekly basis.
Well, night vision for the consumer came out in the mid-90s pretty much. It was on a lot of Sony Handycams and such. And now we have the Psionics camera, and the Psionics camera seems to do, in my opinion, a little bit better at enhancing the light as much as it can collect into a night vision camera. And we are seeing now what we saw 15 years ago, 20 years ago. We're seeing these V-shaped, I guess they're objects or multiple objects forming a V-shape. But I don't know, man. That right there doesn't look like anything I've ever seen. You know, it's kind of weird the way it traverses through the sky. This one, it just, crosses over the sky without changing their position. Here's the classic 3 objects forming a triangle. It looks like it could be a remote control airplane of some sort. I don't know. It reminds me of it, but it doesn't look like it. You know what I mean? This one here is just odd. It almost looks like it's going a little fast, slow, fast, slow. It's like it's pushing itself with each thrust, and then it looks like it has wings, like a kite or a big bird, like a pterodactyl. That to me looks like it doesn't look like an animal, a bird, or anything like that. Yeah, the only thing they could be are birds and drones. There's nothing else that these could be, or UFOs. Now that doesn't look that high in the sky to me. To me, that looks like it's only 100 feet up. And this too doesn't look that high. It looks like it's just inside the range of a Psionics camera's enhancements. But I don't know what would look like that. You see, I don't have any experience with the Psionics camera. If some of you have ever used the Psionics extensively and have seen these types of objects, can you please put it in the comment section or in the chat? I really would like to know if anybody here has seen anything like this with these cameras. If you have, you could also email me, gufonradio@gmail.com. Let's get to the next ones. You're going to love this. China made it to the moon. What'd they find?
The moon and China. There is a space race going on, and what's cool is China kind of just stepped into the game, landing their little rover on the dark side of the moon to investigate what was captured within its lens. A cube spotted on the horizon. Hopefully, just hopefully, here in the next few days, as the rover approaches it, we're going to get a better shot. There have been anomalies that have been captured via satellites and missions to the moon of strange cubes that have been seen on the surface of the lunar ground. Now we're seeing this thing off at a distance, and I'm excited because China is sending their rover to get a closer look. Could you imagine being on the research team in China right now, say, hey, we just landed our lunar rover on the moon and we spotted some anomalous object and we're going to roll towards it? Who knows? Let's hope they don't cut the feed like they do sometimes in NASA, or give some bizarre explanation why we're not getting the footage. I'm excited. Maybe NASA might have another competitor on the block as far as who brings disclosure. Could China bring it? Would they, if they did find anything? Brent, what's your thoughts here?
Yeah, this is pretty cool stuff. It's the ultimate treasure hunt, and there it is, far off in the distance. We don't know what it is. It could be maybe just a pile of rocks, but soon we're going to find out. What's interesting, there's been crashes on the dark side of the moon, and objects have landed on the lunar surface. Could they find some sort of remnants of maybe man-made missions to the moon, or are we looking at something else? The cube, the monolith. We've all seen Stanley Kubrick's 2001 Space Odyssey. This is interesting stuff, and the monolith theory does live through ufology and the world's curiosity. We're looking at things, anomalies that we've seen from the moon, and we know that it's something maybe not ours. It looks maybe extraterrestrial in nature. I'm not saying that this is that, but we're looking at something that needs to be studied. And again, this is the treasure hunt on the moon right now. Hopefully they come out with something that's going to blow us all away, but we're just going to keep an eye on this.
Absolutely, a real close eye. And what's been spotted in the crater, we're going to really get a good look at it. If China continues to roll forward as they do, they're curious about this object. And what's kind of cool as well is that, again, could it be extraterrestrial in nature? Obviously, if it's not ours, and then something left it there, if it turns out to be some kind of structure that defies anything natural in the environment of the surface of the moon, it sticks out. We're looking at this thing, and definitely if we were researchers and we had our own drone on the lunar surface, I think that would be a good target to go towards, because it's sticking out. But again, I'm asking everybody in this live premiere, do you think China's going to continue to roll the feed? Could they be the disclosure? Again, you bring up an interesting fact there, Brett, that Stanley Kubrick in 2001 Space Odyssey and the monolith mythology and the symbolism behind that whole aspect of the monolith, from the cavemen to it being discovered on the moon, and now we have this, China rolling up towards what looks to be a monolith.
Well, as you know, China landed on the dark side of the moon, and roaming around up there with their new rover, they spotted a cube-like structure some kilometers away. I believe it was like 15 or 19 kilometers away. Well, they were going to get there in about 5 days, from what I remember the story saying, and here you can see other monoliths that have been seen on Phobos, on Mars, on the moon. You know, you've heard Buzz Aldrin talk about it, but if you look at this thing, it looks like it could also be an outcropping of an old, maybe, asteroid hitting the moon. It's hard to tell, but I've noticed one thing with Mars and moon photographs. There have been objects that were recorded and had their picture taken from the satellites. But when a rover gets up to that same object and gets a high definition picture of it close up, only feet away, it always looks completely different than what we thought it was. It still looks the same, but the details take out the mystery almost immediately. I think that's what we're going to find here. They're going to get up to this thing. Yep, and they're going to have a close-up of it, and it's not going to look exactly square. It's going to possibly be, maybe it looks weird on one side, different on one side from the other. It could be a trick of light, it could be shadow play, same thing. But it is odd. I really have to admire them going after this. I think if we were to do something like that on Mars or the moon, it would be a secret at first, and then whatever they find, look at that. And then we have the other monoliths. I mean, this is no joke. That looks like it was just put there a few weeks ago. You still see what looks like, where they moved the dirt to make the hole to put in the monolith. So we've got a few days left before we find out. There will be an update on Third Phase of Moon, I'm sure of it. If not, we'll do it here on Third Phase UFO Report. But now, from the moon, we're going to go to Mars. And it seems that Jean Ward from YouTube found a possible disc-shaped craft on Mars. Yeah, let's go take a look.
So there it is at 1:1 scale, and we see a strange trench, and at the end of it a perfect disc, partially covered in sand and debris, and behind it we have random dunes. Yeah, I've removed some of the dunes to give you an idea of what we're looking at here, or potentially what we're looking at here. It looks like a disc-shaped craft or object came in at a very low angle and crashed into the surface of Mars, leaving this trench behind it. And then later over time, sand dunes formed in this trench. We can see some sand has fallen down the side of this trench, and it's partially covered this track. So let's have a look at this zoomed in. Right there, it looks like a disc that's partially elevated on the one side as it plowed into the surface, and there's an outline of that disc. And if you look at the outline, it's almost the same width as this trench. It's difficult to tell because we have the sand filling in the sides of that trench. That disc there, I would estimate, is about 12 to 15 meters in diameter. Right, let's go down to Seti Mensa, which is right there, guys, and it's a flat-topped prominence with cliff-like edges. The object we're checking out is located in this photograph, layered rock outcrops in southwest Kandor Chasma. And there's a summary of what we checked out. So about 12 to 15 meters in diameter. Rather strange phenomena. And then a bit further down, also in this huge scar on the side of Mars, we have this strange megalithic structure consisting of equal sized blocks. Each block is about 10 to 15 meters across. Check at the rectangular openings there, guys and girls, and it looks like the roof collapsed in on itself. My friend Saturn Arc discovered that one. So could we be looking at a disk that crashed into the surface of Mars, left this trench due to the low trajectory, pushed the sand aside, and came to a standstill right there, partially covered in sand and dust. And in time we have the formation of dunes. Check out the shape of the dunes. They are all relatively straight, and then the disc shape over there. So what are we looking at? So totally out of place, the disc shaped object right there.
Well, I gotta hand it to Jean Ward. This is a great find, and I'm surprised it hasn't been found already. But this does look like a disc-shaped UFO crashed into the Mars ground in the sand. And it looks like it's been there pretty long time. If I was to hedge a bet on how long, maybe 500 to 1,000 years? But what I was wondering, now I can see what looks like little, those little snake objects, those little lines that slither like snakes in there. That's gotta be water coming out from underneath. That's what it looks like, and it pushed the sand out. Even because there is water under the sand of Mars. And the reason there's water under the sand, because that used to be the oceans. And maybe the water is still under there. not all of it's frozen, I don't know. But you can see right here what looks like a disc-shaped craft. Now it doesn't look to be perfect. It looks like there's some grooves. You could even look at the shadow portion. You can see it looks like it might just be an outcropping of rocks, and maybe that's where water pooled. I don't know, but I have to admit, it looks like something skid along in a straight line for the most part and stopped in its tracks. And that's what we're looking at, maybe. It definitely looks like it's dug in there. Mars is amazing. It'll answer many of our questions, but will we ever get to see an answer? That is an incredible find. He needs to do something. John Ward needs to contact somebody and ask them if that's part of a weather anomaly or dust or water, or is it a UFO? Man, what a great find. John Ward, thank you. Yeah, whoa, here we go. That's the end of the episode, taking me back out to your digital environment that you're going to call life. And we'll be back another time. I want to thank John Ward for the disc-shaped object, possibly a disc-shaped object crashing into Mars. And of course, I want to thank the Cousins Brothers for everything they do and allowing us to run the sister channel here like mad. I'm Rich Giordano from GUFON. You can see me 6 days a week, 9 p.m. Eastern, and Saturday, 4 p.m. Eastern. Until next time, this is Third Phase UFO Report. Take care.